First year of the Peloponnesian War, Pericles, a highly esteemed Athenian politician, delivers a memorable funeral oration to the public in a service that honored the soldiers that died that year. His speech was memorable for several reasons. It represents a departure from the typical Athenian funeral speech structure because it glorifies the city of Athens as a whole. In effect, he stirred the spirits of a state still at war, in what historians have called an example of democracy for modern times.
The speech begins by praising the tradition of the public funeral for the war dead, but seems to quibble about the inclusion of the speech, arguing that it will be difficult to meet the expectations of the friends of the dead and also not surpass the expectations of those less acquainted. Nevertheless, the speech must be done and do the utmost to remain moderate.
I should have preferred that when men's deeds have been brave, they should be honored in deed only. And with such an honor as this public funeral, then the reputation of many brave men would not have been imperiled, since it would not depend on the eloquence or lack of eloquence of the speaker.
Yay, Pericles!
Pericles argues that the speaker of the oration has the impossible task of satisfying the associates of the dead who would wish the deeds of the dead be magnified, while everyone else might feel jealous and suspect exaggeration. But with a note of caution, he says it's tradition and continues. Pericles begins to his praise of the war dead, as other Athenian funeral orations do, by praising the ancestors of the present-day Athenians, touching briefly on the acquisition of the empire, further glorifying many generations of Athenians. At this point, however, Pericles departs most dramatically from other Athenian funeral orations and skips over the great martial achievements of Athens, saying that he does not want to focus on past military triumphs, but he'd rather focus on the present government.
Military exploits with which our ancestors gave us our inherited possessions, or of the energy with which we or our fathers drove back the tide of war, I will not speak, for the tale will be long and is familiar to you.
Instead, Pericles proposes to focus on the Athenian present government, showing the other means by which Athens became great and why it is revered.
Before I praise the dead, I should like to point out by what principles of actions we rose to power, and understanding what institutions and through what manner of life our empire became great.
This focuses on present-day Athens. Thucydides has Pericles praise the war dead by glorifying the city for what they did. In essence, Pericles finds that paying homage to Athens is the ultimate homage to the dead. He then begins to praise Athens' greatness.
Our form of government does not compete with others or copy them. We are an example to them, and it is true that we are called a democracy, for the administration is in the hands of the many and not of the few.
And there exists equal justice to all and alike in their private differences. The claim of excellence is also recognized, and when a citizen is any way distinguished, he is promoted in public service not because of privilege, but because of merit. Nor does being poor present an obstacle to such public service, since there is no exclusiveness in our public life.
Here we see the roots of the famous phrase, equal justice under law, and the speech goes on describing the ideal Athens, the ideal democracy.
So the same freedoms we enjoy in our government extend also to our ordinary life. We are not suspicious of one another. Neighbors can do what they like, and basically private affairs are unconstrained, so there is much freedom. We also respect our authorities and laws and are concerned to protect the injured and pay attention to unwritten laws that will hold all wrongdoers to suffer general shame. Basically, this is an ideal place to live, publicly and privately.
But we also have fun with regular games and entertainment. We are joyful, prosperous, and enjoy the goods of other countries.
After noting their military superiority, Pericles extends the liberal views of Athens to its foreign policy.
Our city is thrown open to the world, though we never expel a foreigner and prevent him from seeing or learning. Any secrets. Basically, we do not rely on trickery, and instead on our hearts and hands. Our young men undergo exercise to make them brave, and we live at ease. They can face any perils at any time. Just look at examples where we go alone, but our enemies need an entire confederacy. We are unified on sea and land. We are very strong and invincible.
Yet Athens' values equality and openness do not, according to Pericles, hinder Athens' greatness. Indeed, they enhance it.
If then we prefer to meet danger with a light heart, without laborious training, and with a courage which gained by habit long, are we not better for it? Even though we enjoy our lives, we are very brave, and Athens is equally great in peace as in war. We cultivate aesthetics, and our strength lies
such as the city of whose sake these men have nobly fought and died. They could not bear the thought that she might be taken from them, and we survivors should be glad to work for the city.
Finally, Pericles ends his praise of the city of the dead. Since these men died for the valor and willingness to face death, everyone that was the state of public service, and none enervated by wealth themselves and not by that died with great honor. The conclusion seems inevitable. Athenians are glorified.
They really gave their lives, and their glory survives not tombs, but immense memories and commemorations. They died full of courage and knowing the value of their sacrifice for the whole and the rest of us.
With the descriptions of Athens' greatness completed, Pericles begins to address the audience. He exhorts the survivors to live up to the standards set by the deceased.
I do not now pity the parents of the dead, but rather comfort them. They have attained the highest honor, for you an honorable sorrow. And I know it is difficult to realize that their glory and honor are better than those who did sacrifice their lives. But congratulate yourselves. But comforted by the glory of these dead, for the love of honor alone is never young. Not riches, but honor is the delight of men as they become old and useless. So sons and brothers, emulate these dead.
Pericles ends with a short epilogue, reminding the survivors that the noblest citizens serve the state and they remain forever honored.
And look at the idealized version of democracy. Democracy is in the hands of many, not a few. Equal justice for all. The 14th Amendment comes from this speech. A promotion in public service is based on merit. Not legacy, not riches, not wealth. So being poor is not an obstacle to doing public service. And there are a lot of freedoms enjoyed in the government that are extended to ordinary life. People live together well without being suspicious of one another. Neighbors can do as they like in private affairs, but they respect authority and laws. They're concerned, however, to protect the injured, and they attend to unwritten laws that make wrongdoers suffer general shame and don't go out and punish them and throw them into jail. So basically, Athens is an ideal place to live. And they also have fun. They do not rely on trickery. This is a summation of everything that Pericles has said. There's openness in the hands of God. And they make friends with other countries, not by bribery, but by talking, by negotiating. And they're good to their neighbors, not for their own benefit, but for the general good. So Athens is probably the best ideal in terms of democracy, which means that all of you should be willing to sacrifice your life for this country when danger threatens it.